Okay, so on Saturday we were talking about mostly changing chords again, from going from one to the next, nice and smooth, and rhythm, strumming particularly. Okay, so we're looking at Hallelujah. So the first few of those are not too bad, right? So you've got the C there, and it's just a case, as I always say, of just hanging, getting the fingers for the next chord, just kind of hanging over there. So all you have to do is take one away, and the next one goes down. So there's C, A minor, and then the first finger is there for the F. Then the G. Now the G, obviously, there's no real shortcut there. There's a big change, and there's no kind of easy way around it. But what I would say is, if you're coming from the F here, your hand is going to be kind of coming straight out like this. So just kind of turn it this way, so the palm is facing the body of the instrument. You turn it that way, that shape comes in a little easier. When you go straight, when your hand is flat to the neck, this tends to happen, and it's kind of difficult to get that first finger up to the next fret. But if you just turn the hand a little bit, it kind of just falls in much more naturally. Okay, so there's a bit of a slightly tough one in the pre-chorus part of it, right? So it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. So that bit in every verse, obviously the lyrics change, but the chords never do. They're always the same. So it's a G followed by an E7, which is in the chord diagrams anyway. So and then A minor. So So to practice that one, really, what I would recommend is just taking rhythm out of the equation altogether for a little while anyway, and just going from one to the next to the next. And when you're doing it, just make sure just to have a look every now and then. Just make sure there's no wasted movement. So fingers should always be going roughly in a straight line from A to B, which is difficult. I mean, there's a lot going on in every chord change, so you really need to watch that. And just, to make it as movement efficient as you can, so they're as smooth as you can. Now, what's more important than having perfect chords is keeping the rhythm going. So for example, let's say if it takes you, let's say any number, half a second, let's just say for argument's sake, to change from one chord to the next, then you should start changing it half a second before you need it, right? You always want to get in there ahead of time. It'll never take you no time to change a chord, so you want to do that ahead of time so that by the time you go to hit that beat, the chord is already there. Now, if that means the odd little open strum there as you're getting your fingers into position for it, that's actually no big deal. It's much better that than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, interrupting the rhythm like that. That's a real no go. So if there's a little bit of air in between them, that's no big deal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever time you need to keep the rhythm going, that's the priority. Now, as for just talking about the rhythm at all, what I always say, no matter what time signature we're in, the ones you count. So if you're counting a rhythm, in this case, Hallelujah, which is in 6/8, so 6 beats in every round or bar, as they would say, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3 as well, is just kind of a habit. Either or, 6 in every round, and you're going down on the ones that you count. And so, by the virtue of the fact that you're going down and down again, obviously you're coming up in between that. So then, at your own discretion, you can just hit those up. So start off on just the downs, right? So if we just take C and A minor just as an example, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in between those, you can throw in a few ups just to make it a bit more interesting. So, but but you don't have to, in order to get those ups in there, you don't have to change the way you're moving. I mean, all you have to do is just hit it while you're on the way back up instead of not hitting it, which is what you would have been doing previously. So that movement, bum, 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 of your hand just doing that in a really regular way doesn't change. Okay. So because what you don't want to do is this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. It should, the rate at which your hand is going up and down should stay pretty much the same all the time, because that way then it's much more difficult to lose the rhythm. It's you're just chugging along, moving with it, and you just hold it better. It's much tighter. It's much more fluid when you do it that way. So just start off on any rhythm, because you always get the count in at the start of the song, right? So if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, then your bass line strum at least is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, obviously, that sounds a bit dull for sure, but as long as you're doing that, then you're leaving room open to make it a bit more interesting. So then you could add in a few ups again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. And again, if you were to turn off the volume of the video, it looks like I'm just doing, because I'm just going down, up, down, up, down, up. And it's just a case of being selective with which ones you hit or miss. That's all. Other than that, then, if you want to just try the little bit of picky stuff, now this is not essential at all, so don't worry about this. This is purely if you feel like it. But way to set it up is we won't do any chords here, so we'll just use the old C6 open chord. So thumb on top, fingers kind of hooked in, not too much now because you don't want to be dragging or pushing on it too much, getting pops like that. So just 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And we do something similar in Right On, only that's in 4/4, not 6/8. So we want 4 beats for every round. So in that case, then all we do is this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. We just don't double back on the chord to get the extra 2 notes in there like we do for 6/8. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 4. I'd recommend starting on this one actually, because it's a little bit easier. And try to avoid doing this. Using one finger for multiple strings. It's much more efficient. It might not be easier at first, but it is much more efficient, much smoother to share the load between your fingers. All right, that should be plenty to get on with. I'll see you next time.